As I'm sure you guys know by now, the tall stroke machine is absolutely dominating the polisher market. You may be asking yourself, well, why is that? Well, it's because they work. Now, this is my weapon of choice. It's completely changed the way that I do business. And I kind of sit around and I say, well, I want to know the engineering behind it. What's the science? What are these guys thinking when they're making them? I want to see it. So to do that, I have to travel 4,000 miles over to Milan, Italy to see the Rupes factory. When we get there, I'm going to be chatting with someone that you might not expect that I am going to be talking to there. It's going to be kind of exciting. So that and a lot more coming up on this episode of Ride Along Italy. Oh, just, I mean, look at
This car is so fun.
After navigating the chaos known as JFK International Airport, I boarded an Emirates flight bound for Malpensa, Italy, approximately 8 hours from New York City and located about 30 miles north of Milan. Upon arrival, I met my taxi driver holding an iPad with the Rupes logo. Hello. Luckily, he spoke zero English, and the extent of my Italian was the word pizza, so we had a lot to discuss on the way to the hotel at 168 kilometers per hour, which translates roughly to 105 miles an hour. And on the way, we made a few local friends as well.
He didn't seem happy.
This was my first trip to Italy, and it was as beautiful as they say it is. The streets are narrow and the cars are tiny. My hotel was in a small town called Magenta in northern Italy, about 3 hours south of Zurich. My first stop, however, was to the pizzeria, and they only had, 10 or so within 100 yards of my hotel, and this alone was well worth the trip.
What's up, guys? Well, we finally made it out here to Milan, Italy, and as you can see, it's the Rupes factory. I'm super excited to go inside and check everything out. The first thing that we're gonna do is actually go over the history of this company. It's pretty cool. So come on inside, let's go.
Upon entering the facility, I was greeted by my old friends, Marco D'Inca, Director of R&D, and Francesco Ginocchio, Marketing Manager for Rupes. They first gave me the tour of the Museo of Tools they had built since the early 1950s. What I didn't realize is that they manufactured drills and random orbital sanders for over 70 years. In fact, Rupes was the first to introduce reinforced plastic bodies on all grinders and drills to shed a ton of weight and, of course, to save the workers a visit to the chiropractor. After my quick tour of the museum and the showroom, Francesco wanted to show me the first of my two big surprises for the trip. For that, we headed down to the Rupes Detailing Academy. If you didn't know, Jason Rose is now with Rupes as the Global Director of Training, and it was great to see him so far from home. So who better to discuss the benefits of large orbit machines than Jason?
So Jason, I flew 4,000 miles to Italy to come see you.
I think that's the furthest anybody's gone to see me.
Yeah, well, I would imagine. But I came out here to ask you a very specific question, and the question is, what is going on with these large stroke machines? The buzz is insane.
Yes,
I mean,
lots of hype around
I'm
tall
assuming
stroke.
it's because they work.
Well, there's actually three things going on with that. I'll explain. I like to draw
Show
pictures.
and tell?
Yes. So yeah, three things going on that kind of consist of the three main reasons why there's lots of hype around this. So the first one is the increase in defect removal rate. Mm-hmm. Then there's an improvement on the finishing side of things. And then there's something going on with the pad in terms of cleaning. So those three things contribute to what's this
The
big
craziness
deal
about them.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So let's dive into what the orbit's actually doing here. If you look at the orbital pattern,
Sure.
Which is not super accurate, but you get the picture.
I get the idea.
So we're looking at this, which is the actual orbit size. So standard in the industry for many years has been 8 millimeter. Mm-hmm. Bigfoot platform introduced some other orbit sizes.
21.
Or 15 mil or 12 mil, the whole Bigfoot platform. But let's look at 21. And if you kind of analyze this and look at what's going on with the orbit, take this 8 millimeter orbit, and you take this circle and you straighten it out, make it
unravel it.
Make it linear,
Yep.
yes. So you'll see a kind of a line like that, and then the 21, if you take that line, it's a lot longer, right?
Yeah.
You know, that orbit would be a lot longer. So what's happening here is your orbits are happening in the same time frame. So if you compared an 8 millimeter to a 21 millimeter, it's making that complete circle in the same amount of time, but the 21 is going a further distance.
So more work is being done? Is that a fair statement?
Exactly. In fact, about 3 times more work is being done.
So in theory, if you spend X amount of time on something and X amount of time on something with the 21, you're getting 3 times more work
defect
done.
removal
Defect
happening in the same amount of time with the same level of aggressiveness. So it's pretty cool what's going on.
And we know what time is equal to in detailing world.
Time is money.
That's right.
So number 2 reason is this finishing ability. So with this kind of orbital action, obviously you don't have guaranteed no swirl marks. But this tall stroke allows you to finish in a way that you have less holograms. You would think that with more defect removal, it would be at the price tag of finishing ability.
Sure.
You'd think there was a trade-off in aggressiveness.
Yes, you give something up.
But you don't. This is actually delivering a better finish and getting more defects out at the same time.
That's like the dream
It's
combination for the last like 20 years.
Exactly, yeah. So, you know, with those 2 things going on, now there's a very interesting third thing going on. So you would think that more defect removal would mean more pad load, more paint residue, more stuff on the pad. Well, that is true, but because of this tall orbit, it kind of has a self-cleaning ability, and it's actually handling that pad load better than if you had a smaller orbit.
Which is also kind of contributing to number 2, right? It's helping
Better
you finish.
Yeah, exactly. They're all interrelated, actually. But the 3 main things is increase in defect removal rate, better finishing, and self-cleaning.
All right. Well, now that we have that down, I have something burning in my mind. When we walked in, Francesco, we have 2 surprises. Hopefully not 2 in 1 here. Otherwise I'd lost on that one. What is this other surprise?
We do have another surprise for you. So
Where is that?
Let's go check that out.
All right.
The suspense of my second surprise was killing me, but it would have to wait to the end of the tour. As I later found out, it still needed to dry. So in the meantime, we toured the motor assembly plant. This is where copper is woven into the motors of every electrical polisher they build. You see, this is the key quality of the Rupes machines, as each motor is specifically engineered for each machine's designed purpose. There's no need to adapt an existing motor for a new tool. They simply redesign and assemble the exact speed, torque, and power specifications needed for that specific tool. After adding an insulation strip into the rotor, the machines wind the copper into what will later be the motors of each Rupes polisher. What I soon found out is that most companies purchase pre-existing rotors and assemble their tools afterwards, but typically are limited by the off-the-shelf selection of pre-existing motors. However, the next few secret machines could not be filmed, but trust me, it only further emphasizes how much specificity is designed into each machine. Next, we took a quick tour of the pneumatic assembly plant, where tools were assembled, tested by hand, and then tested again with a stroboscopic speed meter, sort of like using a timing light on a muscle car to set the ignition cycle. This tool ensures the sander is rotating at the appropriate speed. Then it was on to the next building, where I got to see rows and rows of parts used in the assembly of each tool. Literally thousands of pieces. But I was really curious to see if they had one particular part, a washer. They did, of course, but that bin was surprisingly small, and it had Kevin Brown's name on it with a big X through it. Nah, I'm just kidding. Once the tools were assembled, I was most impressed by, and I have to say I think Marco was most proud of, the testing department. They absolutely give each tool a barrage of intense testing prior to releasing a new machine. This machine reproduces outside conditions found in the real-world working environment and can do it with precise consistency. The polisher in this box runs for many hours in an extremely dusty habitat, which thoroughly contaminates all the internal parts, so that they can then compare them later and redesign components if necessary. Next, we visited the electrical testing lab.
This device is to check and record all the electric parameters of the tools. The tools get installed here and then connected to the machine.
Okay.
And then the machine guide the device, guide the machine, and read and store all the electrical parameters.
Okay, and this measures how much
Yeah.
torque and
Torque,
power?
speed, the motor temperature, and everything you need to know about the electric tools running.
Likewise, there are many other machines in the back of the lab, all running various voltage checks at the same time on different models. But what I thought was really cool was the brush endurance test. These machines will run for days non-stop to test the strength and longevity of the polisher's internal brushes. Next, I visited the top secret foam pad department, and although I couldn't show the specialized machines actually made by Marco to cut the foam, you can see what foam looks like before it's cut into a polishing pad. The final stop on my tour was the engineering department. These guys are designing the latest tools and internal components, changing the way that we detail cars. Machines are first designed on computers, mocked up with 3D printing, and eventually created in the factory and given to the engineers to test before production. But what I found out is that Rupes is releasing an all-new 21mm polisher called the Mark II. This will have more swirl-free, paint-correcting power than any machine on the market today. So, with that said, Jason asked me if he could borrow my camera to film surprise number 2 in the business development office.
Using Larry's camera, I told him to come up to this office, but I guess, okay, the red light's blinking, so I guess it's working.
I'm outside the Rupes building, and after we just finished that take with Jason, he said, well, give us a minute or so. And so did the other guys in Italian. Oh, one minute. We're gonna go upstairs. You stay outside and then come up in a minute. So, okay. So here's surprise number 2, I guess. We're walking inside.
I had hoped it would be a new Mark II polisher, but I certainly didn't expect this.
Marco has something to present to you here.
Look at this.
Handmade for you, my dear friend.
This is for me?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, look at this white. And oh wow, Ferrari.
Image of the Ferrari on there.
Oh
and
my gosh, this is amazing.
check that out.
What, my name is on it.
Handmade for
Handmade.
my
You
dear
put this
friend.
in there? Oh
Yes.
my gosh, handwritten. Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. This thing is amazing.
Well, it's not just a pretty thing. There's one more thing about this.
Yes.
Inside that's a little bit different than the regular Bigfoot platform.
It feels the same.
This represents the Mark II, which has improved electronics and improved mechanics.
This is the secret?
Yes.
Oh, baby,
You're
so this is the...
getting an early version of an upgrade to the Bigfoot platform.
Okay, so let's get into the nerdy part. What's the difference between this and the old one?
30% more power. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So pad rotation on curves and contours. It's going to be right there for you.
Oh my gosh. Again, thank you. This is amazing. Well, guys, that's it here from Italy. I had an absolute blast. And when I came here, you know, I had a preconceived notion. I thought, okay, it's going to be pretty big. And they're going to put some parts together and make this amazing polisher. Okay, fine. But what I didn't realize is they have a museum since 1955, I believe it is, of when they've been making these machines. So they have some pedigree. I did not know that. And I didn't realize that they actually make their own parts. So the copper wire that's in the machine is actually made here, which I thought was incredible. So they can tweak things back and forth based on the power outage that they're trying to produce. So that was very cool. And then of course this was an actual surprise. I knew they were going to have a new machine, but I didn't realize they were going to have it all painted nice and let me have it, you know, multiple weeks before it comes out. So I'm very grateful for that. And what I actually did is I asked them, once they handed me this perfectly made, nice painted machine, I said, hey, is there any chance that you could take it apart and then show me what's in it and then rebuild it? And they're like, sure. So after this video, I'm going to show you how this particular machine was made. It's really geeky. I hope you guys enjoy that. But of course, if you have any questions, shoot me an email at larry@ammonyc.com. I'm very grateful to come out here and see this firsthand. A big thank you to Jason, Marco, and Francesco from Rupes and all the Rupes family. And by the way, it's not Rupes, Rupees, or Rupes. It's Rupes. Rupes. So remember that, and I have to remember that on my future videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys back in the United States. All right, bye. By the way, guys, it's not Rupes or Rupees. Or Rupes, it's Rupes. No, I just said it. Rupes. Rupes? Rupes. Rupes. Rupes? Rupes. Rupes? Oh, boo.
Adesso che siamo qui, ti faccio vedere tutte le cose che abbiamo a disposizione.
Video. Open the door. The door open, guys. Full day of touring the Rupes factory. Look at this amazing site. And then look at this guy right here. Taking selfies. I'm taking selfie of a selfie. With pictures being taken. Selfie of a selfie. Look at that. If we're not American, I don't know.
Cup of eggnog fishing? What is that? Out of all the Larrys I know, you're my favorite Larry.
Oh boy, I'm gonna throw up. Good